My dear friends, today is March the 12th, 2021, and this is another COVID-19 update for the Diocese of Eastern Newfoundland and Labrador. And I am Bishop Sam Rose, and as we saw today in the most recent news conference from the Chief Medical Officer of Health, evidence points to the fact that community spread of the COVID-19 virus and the variant appears to be under control. The Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald, has announced a move towards easing public health restrictions. However, it should be noted that although community spread seems under control and known cases of infection are trending downwards, this does not mean that the virus or its variant are no longer in our midst. The COVID-19 virus and the variant of concern are present in our province. With this in mind, the Chief Medical Officer has cautioned that a movement towards resuming our activities as a church must be undertaken in a very slow and deliberate manner. It is paramount that in all that we do, mask wearing and social distancing are vital. There are two different levels in our diocese right now. We have the Archdeaconry of Labrador, which is currently at level 3, and we have the Archdeaconries of Avalon and Trinity Conception Placentia, which are now at level 4. This is what this means for these three archdeaconries. In the Archdeaconry of Labrador, which is currently at level 3, I am advising that in-person public worship can now resume safely. This will take effect on March the 15th, 2021. This means that a maximum of 20 people in total, which is clergy and volunteers included, can worship in our church buildings. For parish offices, they may reopen as per the directions given in our diocesan many members one body document. And again, masks must be worn at all times while in the church building and social distancing practiced. This again is for the Archdeaconry of Labrador. For this Archdeaconry of Labrador, building use by user groups and rentals may resume. However, performance spaces remain closed, and group and team sports, arts, and recreation activities remain suspended in our buildings. For indoor gatherings, for church-related ministries and activities, these are continued to be suspended at this time. Administrative gatherings, such as vestries, parish councils, and committee meetings, must remain online unless necessity dictates that an in-person gathering must be held. Again, this is a maximum of 20 people. For fundraising activities, events may resume virtually or as a curbside drop-off event. No in-person fundraising events are permitted. And again, these cautions, these guidelines are for the Archdeaconry of Labrador, effective March the 15th. Moving on, for the Archdeaconries of Avalon and the Archdeaconry of Trinity Conception Placentia, which is now in level 4. The stay-at-home order is still in effect. This means that all church buildings and properties are to remain closed and not accessible to the public. This includes public worship for these two archdeaconries on the Avalon. The church building may be used for live stream or recorded worship services. But again, this is not to exceed 10 people in total. No singing is permitted within the church buildings, including soloists. Recordings of music with or without singing may be utilized. Funerals, weddings, and/or baptisms are permitted with restrictions. That means that funerals, weddings, and/or baptisms may be performed inside the church buildings in the two archdeaconries on the Avalon Peninsula. The maximum number of people present cannot exceed 10 people in total. Again, clergy and volunteers included in that number. Burials at gravesides are permitted and restricted to 10 people in total. The use or rental of our church buildings by individuals, entities, organizations, or businesses are restricted to provincially licensed daycare providers only at this time. Church and parish offices must remain closed, yet offices may remain accessible to those requiring access to perform functions essential for the continued operation of the church. Stewardship and fundraising. Electronic means of stewardship via e-giving should be encouraged, and providing a safe and secure system for dropping off offerings via Dropbox is permitted. Should a parish on the Avalon Peninsula wish to undertake a fundraiser that is virtual and does not involve people leaving their homes for any other reason connected to organizing, facilitating, or participating in the fundraiser, must contact the diocese to get approval so that they can be obtained for this purpose. So for both levels, for all of the dioceses of Eastern Newfoundland and Labrador, including the Archdeaconry of Labrador and the Archdeaconry of Avalon and Trinity Conception Placentia, in terms of pastoral care. Home communions or visiting with people in their private residences is not permitted. Visitation or communions to long-term care facilities, personal care homes, assisted living institutions, and acute care facilities is not permitted unless an exemption has been granted by public health or the regional health authority. For all of the diocese, celebrations of the Eucharist, the one consecrating the elements, the priest, will be the only one permitted to consume. He or she would do so symbolically on behalf of the worshiping community. And of course, the act of spiritual communion is encouraged, as well as the offices of morning and evening prayer and the Lenten devotions that many, many parishes have been doing throughout this pandemic. Some points to reiterate for all of the diocese. Mask wearing at all times. Social distancing at all times. More details of all of these points, of course, are to be found on our social media and are sent to all of the parish clergy in the diocese. Of course, if you want the latest information, you can visit our diocesan website, which is anglicanenl.net/home/COVID-19. Again, anglicanenl.net/home/COVID-19. Again, my friends, it's been another day of developments, which has been a positive one. We're seeing the reduction of the community spread in our province. However, because of our geographics in this diocese, we now have two sections of our diocese which are at different alert levels. Therefore, the reason why we had to implement two different levels within our diocese. So again, for the Archdeaconry of Labrador, which is at level 3, and for the Archdeaconries of Avalon and Trinity Conception Placentia, which is at level 4, please consult the diocesan website and for the latest information. We anticipate that in the coming weeks that we will hopefully, based on Dr. Fitzgerald's information, be at similar levels or the same level so that we can continue to worship God in a safe way. Last evening, March 11th, marked the first anniversary of the declaration of the COVID pandemic. And last night we had a very moving and powerful prayer vigil for the diocese and beyond, for all those affected by the COVID pandemic, which we are still in. And that's available to be watched again. If you missed it last night, it's on our diocesan Facebook page and the Bishop Sam Rose Facebook page. And I commend that to you. But again, the mantra is to stay safe. If we're going to spread anything, as has been said many times, let us spread kindness. Let us support one another in this very challenging time we face. But let us face it with hope and with faith, because indeed, Our God is a loving God and a gracious God, and our God is always with us and walking with us throughout this pandemic step by step. May you, my friends, be blessed by God, and may you be a blessing for others. Amen.